Hello, selamun alaikum. Welcome to Women in Action. Today I'm hosting the Ambassador of Colombia, my dear friend, Her Excellency María Mina-Rojas. And I'm very excited to have her here because we have worked in the same space, collaborated a lot in my previous life, and I know what she's doing, how much she's doing for women in South Africa and Colombia. So let's start and try to get to know her. So welcome again, my dear friend. So Maria, you've been here in this country for 2 years. And please tell us a little bit about your background, your education, and what led you to this post in South Africa, because you are not a career diplomat, you are a political appointee. Tell us about your previous life.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this invitation. I feel very honored. Well, my life before being an ambassador in South Africa has been in the field of human rights and activism. I was very involved on women's and people of African descent rights, especially collective rights for people of African descent. And I'm a social worker. That's my background. It's a career very popular in Colombia, but for me was very important because it taught me how to relate to the social issues of people in the country. And then I did a master's degree on the thematics of diversity, because Colombia is a diverse country with different ethnic groups and a multicultural country.
But 20% of the population is Black African descent. That's
Yes.
very important.
Yes.
Out of the, 54, 55 million
Yes,
people in
exactly.
Colombia.
Precisely
yeah.
right. We are the second country in Latin America after Brazil with the largest Black population in Latin America.
And your background, you grew up in a township, right? Tell us a little bit in a Black community. Yes. Yes.
Yes, it is a neighborhood pretty similar like townships here in South Africa. And it was a neighborhood with a history. There was, because people from Africa was brought to the continent for slavery, there was a community that was around a plantation and pre-urban area. So then when the slavery ends, they built up neighborhoods around. And I was born on one of those neighborhoods.
Wow.
Yeah.
And surrounded by women, and that's how maybe...
That's my family, yeah.
Yeah.
But, lots of women, but very conservative family. With where the male was the center. My father, my grandfather, my uncles, my brother, they were the center, but we were lots of women around them. So I learned a lot from being in a conservative place where women is in charge, but is not in charge. Yeah.
Interesting. So you became an activist with this type of a history.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You became an activist working for justice, I guess, and gender equality.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, this background, being in a family full of women, but just entitled to serve men, show me a lot in terms of these issues of disparity in terms of gender. And then I was in a very poor neighborhood. I was a Black girl, a Black neighborhood. So that also showed me about the disparities in terms of race and social justice. And from that I learned what needed to be done. From the own experience, I think I was very inspired to do things that will change realities of people in those contexts. So that brought me to activism. My father was very involved on community activities, serving always the community. So I was always close to what he was doing. And from there, when I got into the university, I start social work and graduate from social work. My practice become in communities, particularly communities with African descent population and women. And then I focus on those
Civil society.
civil society, and I
organizations.
focus on women and African descent people.
Very nice. And then there's a political context as well, because there was the internal conflict with FARC, F-A-R-C, that guerrilla group that went on for 50 years. And then you became involved, I think, in 2016 when the agreement was reached between the government and this group. You became a spokesperson for, tell us, for their rights, indigenous peoples. Yeah.
Yes, well, all these issues of internal armed conflict were impacting severely women, obviously, and indigenous and African descent people. You know, on their territories was focused the internal armed conflict, not only by guerrillas but also by paramilitary groups. And the gross human rights violations came from paramilitary groups. Paramilitary. But then the opportunity of dialogues with one of the main guerrilla groups, which was FARC, came. And part of my participation was to make sure that there was also an involvement of indigenous and Afro-descendant authorities on those dialogues, because we were severely affected by the consequences of the conflict.
So the voices of the African descent people had to be heard during this process of negotiation.
Yes, precisely. So it was a work to make visible and present the Afro-descendant people on those tables, and dialogues with the FARC and dialogues with the government to make sure that the rights, the consequences of the conflict on those communities were actually present on the accord. Wow. So in 2016, when the accord was signed, we had managed to put a specific chapter within that peace accord that talked specifically about the Afro-descendant and indigenous rights, and how the peace needs to be achieved for those communities, how justice, transitional justice, healing, etc., has to be achieved on the implementation of that peace accord.
That's very important. And then there's a defining moment in your career that led you to South Africa. Tell us about the defining moments when the vice president of the new government, who happens to be a friend of yours, asked you about this. Yeah.
Well, there were many defining moments in my activism process, and one of them was involved with the today Vice President of Colombia. So we were very involved on environmental activism and prevention of illegal mining. And
prevention of illegal
mining.
And prevention of illegal mining. That strikes a course, a report in South Africa. Yes.
So she was, so I met her for quite some time. She knows my record. I have been involved in international activism and lobby with UN and Congress, US Congress, and different areas. So I guess she thought that I was good fit for this position in South Africa, which I greatly appreciate. And then she called me and asked me to be here.
Perfect.
And that was it.
Yes. And you continue to really work on your passion for women in general.
Yes.
And what's more interesting is that you work on healing also, because there's some commonality between the histories of Colombia and South Africa, the healing of people, especially women from trauma. So when we worked together, we did a panel here last April on women's issues And that was the first time when you wrote the concept paper and you wrote the title of the panel saying Women's Agency. I was like, what does that mean? Materializing women's agency in Africa. That I learned a lot from you when we put together that panel, and when we invited Miss Tuli Madonsela, Tuli, and she was our keynote speaker. That was very important. You will tell us more about these. And then the second initiative, we tried to do a project in Sharpeville, because in Sharpeville there's still some trauma of the past.
Yes.
And you already started a sewing project as a healing project. So let's talk about what you have been doing in South Africa, all these projects designed to uplift women, and especially the healing part.
Yes.
I think sometimes in some countries, healing processes from traumas have not been completed. And in Colombia, you have good projects for that. Yes.
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, my passion is definitely women and people of African descent, particularly women of African descent. And this issue of healing is very, very important. We have the traumas, the historical traumas, from being uprooted from Africa, being spread around, you know, families hurt because of that. We never connection again. It's a significant spiritual damage on that too. So, and then Colombia has a very important movement of healing. Women has been leading very important processes of healing after 50 plus years of internal conflict and all these past
By those guerrillas, yeah.
Right, because we face not only the violence of the conflict, the gender violence in general, but also racist violence. So all these elements have been part of women's work to heal and be able to enhance her agency. And when I talk about agency, is that one thing is empowerment, and empowerment, power is within you already, right? So it is not necessarily the fact of power that you already have, but to bring conditions that elevate your capacity of own agency.
So it's agency rather than
agency.
Empowerment.
It
Very
is
interesting. I kept saying women do not need to be empowered. They are powerful enough. Let's empower the boy child. But agency is a good word to use.
Yes,
Instead of empowerment.
You know,
for
the
women.
agency is this process when you take ownership of what you have, who you are, and what you want to do, and you just start doing it, right? So when we want to contribute to the woman growth, we need to contribute to their agency. So everything that we do needs to promote their agency, their own capacity to move on, you know, with the tools and the different resources that we provide or everybody provides, but as a woman who is going to do it.
The tools and instruments of healing, tell us what you use, because you brought it to South Africa.
Yes. So healing, there are so many methodologies and exercise that women has done, from workshops, from music. But this particular experience that actually we had here in South Africa, we brought last year the waivers of Mampuhan, the tejedoras de Mampuhan. Mampuhan is a town that suffered severely by the war between guerrillas and paramilitaries, and there were gross human rights violations there, and gender-based violence and killings, etc.
So weavers is like knitting, or you do it with?
Actually, I'm supposed to bring a piece of that, but I will bring it in a moment. But what they did, it was they start coming together and start sewing, like picturing first their trauma, things that has happened. They will be sewing, stitching. There will be a stitching
Like a
figures of
quilt.
woman, kills, cries, showing the pain, showing all the situation. But then little by little in that process, while they stitch, and the woman that came from Tejedoras of Mampuhan was saying, when we use the needle, it's like we insert the needle in the clothing, like it's the pain, and you pull out the needle to bring out that pain.
Wow.
And process it. So they will be stitching
Out.
and talking and bringing out their experiences, talking about, embracing each other. And from that came different ideas to be healing. And then they start moving on showing their cultural practices, showing their dreams, showing who they are as women,
Nice.
different things.
It's like
And
therapy.
It's like therapy.
And
So
you
they
wanted to
did
bring
that.
it to Sharpeville, that small town. What was it?
Yes,
Bako.
Boypatong.
Boy Patong, like a weaving workshop.
Yes, because Boypatong is one of those, as Sharpeville is one of these places that has survivors from apartheid massacres, right? And there are some survivors and some families of people that was killed on that process. And what I understand, and I think that was reaffirmed when I brought the mujeres, the waivers of Mampuhan here, is that people still need to process a lot of those situations. And so we were working with some women, and actually a gentleman also from Boypatong,
Nice.
through sewing, a project of sewing to seek healing. But when the waivers of Mampuhan came, we had some workshops with other groups of women from Sharpeville and other places that they exchanged.
And I watched the documentary on it.
Yes,
It was touching.
Yeah. And we did a panel here with the women of Mampuhan, waivers of Mampuhan, to talk about it and show videos and experiences.
Perfect.
It was very touching for people here.
Yeah.
It really speaks to the history here, and we found that we have so much in common in terms of those histories. If you want, I can bring the piece to show
Maybe
it.
they can. Yes,
Can you
please.
pass it? Just one is fine.
Thank you.
You see? Okay,
That's
so
what they do. It's very important. This camera, maybe.
there you go. So this is what they do. These are some pieces that they left for us. And this
So
one
it has a story.
it has a story. So what they did was start telling, and that's when you use your voice in different ways.
Of
At
course.
some point, it was very dangerous to be outspoken about what happened. So they start telling stories through this process. So it was a healing process.
Silence.
It was
It's
just
the
this
silent
process.
story. Yes.
It was breaking the silence.
Breaking the
what they were doing.
silence. Wow.
Yeah. So it's
beautiful.
and then we found that there is women here that do the same. They do it little different. The technique is different, but the idea, the process was exactly the same. And there was an exchange between them. Yeah.
Beautiful. I hope more of this project gets disseminated in South Africa, in townships especially, where women need that healing process. Well, thank you for this. This is beautiful. And this is, I think, very original
Yes.
also
Yes.
for South Africa. And women in South Africa can use other crafts that they are used to, their cultural crafting, to express themselves. It's about expression. It's psychological, right? Expression of the pain.
Just being able
How
to
to do
breathe
it,
now.
and then maybe to make money out of it as well. And I think you have also another project that deals with trade. You know, increasing
yes.
women's agency through trade.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Colombia the government has been very active on promoting women's possibilities of economic sustainability. And there is a fund, women's fund, in a specific program that is called She Trades with Africa.
She trades with Africa.
Yes, and we brought 28 companies led by women last year.
SMEs.
Yes, small and medium companies to exchange, to learn about the business in South Africa, but also to have exchange with some companies here to understand and to know each other and connect. And then we have this year the political consultations with South Africa. Some MOUs have been discussed and negotiation to be signed in order to promote this women's agency in the economic sphere. So it's a process of the possibility of women coming here, but also women-led organizations going to Colombia, learning from business in Colombia, understanding how that works, and then coming together and promoting that.
So South African women SMEs going to Colombia. That's a good idea.
That's the goal. Yeah.
Very important. And it's also part of cultural exchange.
Cultural exchange, exactly.
Yes, and you know, you are also doing university exchanges, but that's probably for another show because you are doing so much in this field. And it's very, I really appreciate what you are doing. This will continue, I'm sure, in the remaining time period that you will serve in South Africa, both for Colombian women and South African women. Really applaudable work that you are doing. Thank you so much for that. So let me wrap up here and let's have you on another show also, while maybe you are doing a project. We could take our show to your project to showcase what you are doing in the healing space especially. So this is the end of another episode of Women in Action. Today we hosted somebody, an ambassador from Colombia, who has this passion of really helping women, helping gender equality, helping healing from traumas, and a lot more. We tried to get a glimpse into her life, her career, what led her to here. So thank you for watching. Let's see you at the next episode.